Good morning. Good morning, everybody. What's up? Everybody doing good this morning? Wave at me. Wave at me. Yeah. Good morning, everybody. I am having a little technical difficulties this morning. I think the figured out Friday done rolled on over to Monday, but we're gonna figure this thing out, right? What I got to figure out is how can I hold my phone steady? Because y'all know I get yayed up. You know what I mean? Without making y'all sick. So we're gonna do the best we can do. Let me see if I can put it right here. Maybe, just maybe we'll be all right. All right. Good morning, everybody. Happy Monday to you. My name's Chad Free, and yeah, we're gonna figure this thing out. I can't shake the computer or the table. So I am a wealth strategist, and I believe that true wealth is built from the inside out, and it's an abundance of anything that you value. And man, that's when you can't put a price tag on that internal wealth. So I've got a story that I want to share with you today that happened a couple weeks ago that I think I just feel led to share. And so before we get started, let's start with our affirmations up in here. All right, we all got to come off mute. So on the count of three, come off of mute. And let's say our affirmations together. 1, 2, 3. I am created on purpose for a purpose.
You are
created on purpose for a purpose. Good deal. Good deal. Well, good morning, everybody. I hope everybody had a great weekend and off to a good start for a brand new week. You know, every day is a blessing when we wake up and our toes are pointing up, right? With pushing, what do they call it? Pushing daisies down instead of pushing daisies up. So anyway, y'all can look that up later if you're too young for that. So I want to tell you a story that happened to me a couple of weeks ago. But before I share the story, I want to talk about how important it is to just be still sometimes. Sometimes it is super important just to be still and to take time by yourself. I've heard it said that a lot of people try to stay so busy that they avoid being still. And what I mean by that is to hear that still small voice or to give attention to what you really supposed to be doing in life. And so you just stay busy, stay busy, stay busy. So this is a story, all right, that happened to me 2 weeks ago. And trust me here, every single detail that I'm going to tell you is on purpose for a purpose, right? It actually matters. So the morning, I can't even remember what morning it was. One morning I was just being quiet and I had a notification come on my phone. And it was Clayton. He sent me an actual video. And basically it was this gentleman on the street, and he approached another guy who had this pretty good sized cross. It was a medallion, but it had a cross on it. And he asked him, he said, "Hey, can you mind me asking, what do you wear that for? Like, what does it mean to you?" And he said, "Well, it's for protection, you know." And so he said, "Well, that's cool, and I can see that." He said, "But you know, if you have God living in your heart, that's really all the protection that you need." And instead of, you know, literally having like a token or any kind of medallion or a necklace or whatever. And he was very sensible to it. He wasn't ugly or anything like that. But that was kind of cool. You know, it was kind of cool because they ended up having a meaningful conversation about some more things. Well, later on that day, if you don't know, I am a high-tech redneck. Okay, I've had a Harley since 1998. Different ones. I buy and sell them. And I know I might not look that part, but trust me, I'm born free, baby. I like to get out there on the wide open road. But to that point, I ran some errands. I went to the chiropractor and did some other things. And when you have a Harley that long and you don't really ride, you just ride to town or something. It's been a minute since I have had that feeling of just the wide open road where you can say, oh man, I had the wind through my hair and all that. I just took it for granted. I get on the bike, I go run an errand, I come back. You know, it was just a mode of transportation. Well, this day was different because your boy done got him a good sound and stereo system on that motorcycle. All right. And I got them tunes going. I got the radio blasted sounding good. And guess what? I put it on some praise music. I had praise music. So what kind of sight is that? A dude on a Harley going down the street blaring what you listening to on Sunday mornings. Come on. I mean, it was good. Yeah, I see you, D. I think I seen some people, you know, they had their hands out the windows. Well, I was getting into it. And when I tell you that I was truly feeling it, I was feeling it, man. I turn it up a little bit louder. And a lot of times I turn my music down at the like the red lights and stuff. No, not this time. I turned it on up because I wanted everybody, you know, to hear what I was playing. So I'm on my way home, and literally, like I said, I'm feeling it. I'm like, man, I don't have any more appointments today. I had some salmon in my saddlebag. All right. So I had to get home to make sure that's put up in the refrigerator. It wasn't like I could just go ride with that in there. But anyway, I thought, all right, here's where I want you to start listening to me. I thought it would be a good idea to continue to ride. Like, I need this. I need some time just to unplug and just to, you know, continue riding. Well, as I got closer to home, it became more of like a suggestion, like, yeah, maybe you should come ride with me. But I didn't know if I was creating this in my mind or if that was God kind of saying, come ride with me or, you know, spend some time with me. I didn't know. I'm telling you how all this worked in my mind. And guys, this is so powerful, the ending. So just hang with me. So I'm like, yeah, I think I will do that. I think I will do that. So I get close to home. I got to get that salmon put up first because I don't need that smelling in my saddlebags. So I put that up and I kick my shoes off and I sit on the couch for a minute to pet the dog. And I got comfortable for less than a second. And then all of a sudden, it went from here to a suggestion to down in my gut. I said, let's go ride. Now, I didn't hear that audible, but I felt a tug, my man. I felt a tug. It was tugging on me. And I'm like, all right, all right. So at this point in time, I've agreed and I've said, I'm going to go ride. This hadn't happened a whole lot in my life like this to this extent. So I'm like, where am I going to go? Like, literally, do I make a left out of my neighborhood? Do I make a right out of my neighborhood? I got to go towards something, you know? I know I'm just riding, but where am I going to go? Well, all of a sudden, out of left field, Lake Greenwood came to mind. Now, that's 45, 50 minutes away from me. Actually, Greenwood is, okay? And I immediately was getting on the bike, and I'm like going all the way to Greenwood. Because remember, it's still, I feel like God's telling me to do this, but I still think I could be in my own head just a little bit. So then we've got some friends who live on Lake Greenwood, but it's the very northern part, which is very close to us. For some reason, that bridge that they live beside popped on my mind. And I'm like, oh, yeah, that'd be a perfect little ride. It's like 28 minutes away. follow me here. I say, okay, I'm gonna go that way. So I just start heading that way. And I'm very open now because I'm expecting God to reveal something to me or something, you know. And I'm heading down the road, and I'm just going that way, and then all of a sudden, stop and check in on them. I just felt an urge to check in on these folks, and I'm like, okay, that'd be fine too. I can do that. But what am I checking in on? See, I'm agreeing that I'm going to do it, but then I always want to know, well, what's the next step? What for? Why? You see what I mean? Not necessarily why, but then what? Then what? Then what? So I'm riding down through there. And if you back up about 3 weeks prior to that, they invited my wife and I down because he got baptized in his swimming pool, and he had some close friends and family there. This gentleman did. Well, I'm heading that way, and that voice or whatever, kind of not or whatever, that voice, the Holy Spirit, was saying, stop in. I'm like, well, okay, well, what if they're not there? Well, their parents just moved in. I could say hey to them too. They moved in on that. They have they just put a house on that same lot on the lake. So I'm continuing down the road. And I'm like, what am I going to say? Do I say that God just led me out on this ride and just wanted to stop by and say, hey, so I could actually mention it to him? Or is this a test of me just being obedient? What is this? So I'm getting closer and closer. And when I'm 10 minutes or under from their house, guys, I can't make this up. I heard the voice, or not heard the voice, I felt it. Tell John I love him and I got him. That was so out of left field, guys. Now, as I'm riding down, I'm sitting here saying, obviously, you have me on a mission here. I'm going to acknowledge that. Obviously, you're wanting me to say something. I'm going to acknowledge that. I recognize the seriousness of this. And guys, I didn't want to be in my own head. I didn't want this to be something that Chad Free had strummed up to sound sweet, nice, caring, or whatever. I started approaching this very carefully, reverently, and fearfully. So I literally prayed. I said, God, I want these to be your words, nothing more, nothing less. I don't want the enemy. I don't want these to be voices in my head. Please tell me one last time, what am I to say to John? I love him and I got him. That's it. Okay. So he has PTSD. He's got a dog. I'm not sure exactly. He was in law enforcement in the past, but he gets really anxious in crowds and such. So when I pulled up, I didn't want to alarm him. So I called him first, went straight to voicemail. I went to his front door, getting ready to knock. The door open, and it was his brother. So his brother said that he's not here. He's not sure when he'll be back. And so I said, all right, that's cool. And I took it, maybe God was just wanting me to try to be obedient, just to test my obedience. So I got back to the house. I texted John. I said, John, give me a call when you get a moment, please. He called me right back. Now, I'm going to back up again and go back to that time, and I'm winding down. This is where it gets good. Matter of fact, it's been good, okay? When you're in it and you're feeling that, it is good. But when you back up to the baptism, my wife gave me a wooden cross to give to him and it's something you can keep in your pocket and all of that. And I gave that gift to him, and he was so appreciative and thankful. He really was. I mean, it meant a lot to him. Looked like it anyway. So he called me back, and I said, John, you got a minute? Yeah, man, I do. I said, let me tell you something. And I told him the entire story that I just shared with you guys. I told him that entire story. And this is a big dude. On the other side, I hear him starting to get very emotional. Very, very, very emotional. He's trying to collect himself. He said, Chad, you're not going to believe this. He said, that cross that you gave me, he said, it was so meaningful. It was one of the most dearest gifts I've ever received. Now think about it. My wife just gave it to me as a suggestion. Give him this. So what? Yes, it was good, but it wasn't all that to me. You know what I mean? I was appreciative, and here you go. He said, Chad, I don't go anywhere without it. Chad, I always check my pockets. Chad this, Chad that. I was doing something with the boat the other day. I started walking to my house, and I went and I started feeling for that cross, and that cross was no longer in my pocket. And I started freaking out. He said, I literally started wigging out. He said, I spent hours in our backyard searching for this thing. It was a brown cross, so it's hard to see. He said, I have my wife out here looking for it. I can't find it. He said, and it's just bothered me so bad, and I've wanted to avoid you. He said, I knew that I don't know what I was going to tell Chad. He's going to be so disappointed in me. What am I going to say? And for me, I'm like, well, this ain't a whole lot. You know, this ain't I can give him another cross, right? I can give him another cross. Then he proceeds to say, I even told my wife, is Chad and Dana going to be there? Because she's like, no, they're not going to be there. Why? Well, I got to man up. I got to tell him what I done. And again, I'm not understanding really. Then all of a sudden, he said, man, I started doubting if I was even worthy to be baptized. And am I even worthy to be, doing this and doing that? I hadn't told this story without getting emotional, but I'm going to do my very best, because let me tell you something right now. Remember the little video that I said my son sent me? All of a sudden, when I tell you, it started out with a little suggestion. It started out with a little nudge. It started out with this and this and this. And yes, I'm going to say that I was obedient. And he didn't have to tell me the end result. He started revealing very small steps that he wanted me to do. But at that moment and at that time, I got a download like none other. It hit me in the back of the head, and I interrupted John immediately. And I said, let me tell you something right now. Now I know. And y'all, I'm getting yayed up here, because that's exactly what took place on that phone. I said, now I know, John. Now I know. I know now why I did that. I know now why I was led to you. I said, that cross in your pocket, that is special. I appreciate that. But that cross in the pocket has nothing to do with what took place inside of your heart. I said, and now that you're taking steps of obedience and being who you are created to be, and you are pursuing your purpose, that deal is sealed and it is solidified, and a cross in your pocket can be replaced. And I start getting emotional. I said, forgive me, man, for getting emotional, but I know now why this happened. And he said, he couldn't even get it out. He was bawling. He said, the very person that I was scared to face, the very person that I was scared to confront, was sent to me to tell me that he loves you and he's got you. Nothing more, nothing less. And he's been struggling in his mind and in his head with all of that. Guys, I I I I didn't know how to feel. I mean, I will say that I am just a I'm just I'm a nobody that wanted to be used. And I was quiet and I listened and I saw the hand of God work and I was a part of it. And I will not ever, 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 ever forget that moment. And that guy told me, he said that I am a part of his story that is still being written. And he has told me now that he wanted to start going to church with us. And he just, I'm telling you, I had to share that for somebody. I don't know. If you're feeling called to do something way down deep, and you know the enemy probably wouldn't be calling you or nudging you to do that, you need to do it because there's a blessing on the other side. That's just the way it is. There's a blessing on the other side for you. And I am so thankful that I went out and I just turned that praise. It all started with the praise music. That is crazy. So anyway, I just felt led to share. I don't think I should keep that to myself. Y'all know how I am. I don't separate what I do with my faith. It is what it is. That's what I'm called to do. So I hope and pray that encouraged somebody today. Because if you have a relationship with God and he loves you and he's got you and he knows that you know, we all fall short. But anyway, just pray that's a little encouragement for you. That's all I got this morning. That's all I got. Anybody got anything that they'd like to share? Anybody?
Right here.
All right, talk to me.
That was awesome. Every every word was Rhema life. That was, thank you so much for your obedience and for sharing that. I was hanging on every word. It was so cool. And just like we were talking on the real estate prayer call this morning, that when Paul the apostle was down in chains, he started praising God with song and music and something very, God even said, Jesus said, if you don't praise me, the rocks are going to cry out. So when you're on that Harley and had that praise music on, God inhabits the praise. And that was such, like, I always know God can do things like that. He can direct you to people that need you at a time when he needs you. He'll tell you that person needs me, go say this. And I know it's possible, but I just never cease to amaze me when the obedience happens. Thank you for sharing that. It was awesome.
Thank you, Robin. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. All right. Anybody else? Anybody else? All right. If not, well, thank y'all for listening to me. Thank you for listening to me. As always, I appreciate it. Maybe I'll have my technology fixed by next Monday. Maybe it needs to be fixed by today. I got some meetings today. So anyway. All right, guys. Thank
Chad,
you.
thank you
Yes.
very much. Hey, thank you very much. It's funny because not funny. I don't know why I say funny, but obviously you and I talked. So when I started hearing your story, you know, the second time you hear things, it's different. It's like many times when you travel and you're going someplace and it's the first time and you're looking at all these things and then you drive back the same exact way. You're like, oh my gosh, look at that. Was that there? I didn't even see that. And so I had that moment when I was listening to your story today because I was blessed to hear it last week with you. And when I was listening to it, it just, I don't know, like it just had more clarity with me because I was really able to lean in to your message. And it's so true that I was I was doing a video about the message yesterday when I was at church. That how ironic is this? Now that I'm putting even more together in my head here, the message yesterday in the church was this: there's this rich guy, and Lazarus was on his doorstep all the time, and he never paid attention to Lazarus, the poor guy that was sitting there with the sores and everything else. And he used the word landscape. And so many times in our life, we go through our emotions through the day that God is trying to tell us something. And sometimes we just get so immersed in the landscape around us that just the minutia, the day in and the day out, and me just going through this. And it's like those moments where you really have to, I could see you going to your driveway and you're either taking a left or a right. And there's no difference either way you go, but God just like leans into us and directs us without us even understanding. And for you to go through it because you were being convicted, you were being purposeful for whatever direction you were supposed to go. And many times we get so scared and we get nervous and we get uncomfortable and like, I don't know, this seems kind of strange. Maybe I should just pause. Maybe I should just sit still. And really, God's not asking us to do that. She's like, hey, I just need you to slow down. Just like Diane on here, who was supposed to have surgery today, and something happened and she got sick, and now it's got postponed. But I was like, that's God's way of saying, like, hey, he's trying to tell you to slow down. And so to me, when I heard your message the second time, it really leaned into me about message from yesterday at church of the landscape of people to help. And then the message that you sent today that God, like he was running from something. Somebody on here is running from something. And he's trying to bring you to it. He's like, hey, I'm trying to help you. Just like your message was today, Chad. And I thought it was just this, for those of you, like I would go back and I listen to this. You can go to our YouTube channel and like listen to it the second time because it really made an impact on me the second time, just having even more clarity of making sure that I'm reaching out and helping people and leaning in and listening to God. So thank you very, very much for your message today and really being convicted, sharing it with our group. So thank you, brother.
Thank you, Brock. Appreciate you, man. All right, guys. Tomorrow morning, 8:15, here with Brock the Rock. Mornings with Maxwell. Be here, and we'll see you then. Take care, everybody. Have a great day. Bye-bye.